So, 1.19.31 on Minecraft decided to pull a fast one on us. It took out all of Season 1 stages, but I have footage of 15 of the 20, so why don't we just use that to go back in the past and review those stages and compare them to now. So let's do that. Being the third stage to ever be created, Elemental Entry was a sort of absence of learning process kind of stage, where you're just shooting in the dark and hoping that it lands. And Elemental Entry as a whole did sort of land. Off the hop, this is already one of the coolest stages based on concept alone. A square that's divided into 4 quarters that each have their own unique environment to them. Sounds great, right? Well, idealistically, it totally is. Aesthetically, on the other hand, it suffers a little bit from being bland, as you can see on screen. There's a lot of the same reused blocks. For example, in the grass environment, green, brown, more green, maybe some flowers in there. It's very washed, rinsed, and repeated, and so it gets stale after a while. And this sort of repetition doesn't go anywhere for any part of the stage. It just stays. Yeah, the environments change, but once they change, they're staying exactly the same until the next environment. There's no variation here, and so the map suffers from an okay aesthetic, an aesthetic that represents the map well enough, but doesn't succeed beyond that. Now, not to be too worried here, there definitely is a lot more good to Elemental Entry than there is bad. There is a lot of innovation in this map. There's a 1 lever per environment to access a trapdoor in the snow environment kind of secret mission in this one, which is one of the most complex and yet rewarding secret missions that we've ever done up to this point. There's also the striders in the lava section, the boat in the ice section. There's a lot of cool ideas here, but not all of them were executed to their full potential. While the strider idea is cool on paper, in execution it is completely and utterly forgettable. It's tedious, slow, and there's a shortcut that allows you to skip it altogether, so for that reason alone, it's just kind of invalidated in this map. The boat section has a different type of treatment. It's remembered well, but not for the right reason. There has been a total of 6 people who have ever played Elemental Entry, and 4 of those people have a very hard time with the boats because of how tight it is. So with that in mind, it could have been better designed. If only 1/3 of the entire group can actually do that part well, myself and Amron, not to be egotistical, then it's not necessarily fair, and it's resorted in a rule where I have to be waiting for people in a boat to drive them instead, just so they don't have to forfeit a good rank to something kind of beyond their control. The lever idea itself was pretty successful as a whole. It forced players to search far and wide, and the rank parameters were more than fair for that. The only way you could get the worst rank in the game, which was a D at the time, is if you took greater than like 10 minutes, so perfectly balanced in my opinion. And speaking of balance, the difficulty here is also mostly balanced. The lava section, I think, is a little bit brutalizing, and there's some mechanical stuff that goes on in the snow section, but that's not really a fault of ours, rather just how the game functions. Granted, we could work around that, but with trying new ideas and stuff, there's only so much responsibility we can take until it's kind of a fault of the games for not functioning correctly at certain points. And I know it sounds like I'm trying to load the blame on something other than myself and Savannah, myself in particular, but just don't put carpets on powdered snow, because if you do, you'll understand why I'm saying what I'm saying here. Moving on from that point, another thing that's definitely worth noting about this stage is that we were trying to go for a longer stage, and Elemental Entry definitely did fulfill that without going overboard. The average player could probably take about 4.5 minutes on Elemental Entry. Meanwhile, the rather skilled players could take about 3.5 to 4, and the excellent players, almost the best of the best, if you will, could take even just under 3. So there's definitely a lot of variation of how well you play this map. Now, there are some minor annoyances along this map. In the grass section, there is this unbearable maze if you fail shortcuts that you have to go through that'll cost you like 45 to 60 seconds. Granted, the rank parameters are designed with that in mind, so you won't be penalized too hard, but it is still annoying nevertheless. The sand section for the most part is pretty good. The fire section is a little bit tough on the jumps, but for the most part also pretty fair. And the ice section has this on screen where you are jumping on carpets that is on top of powdered snow, and for some reason jumps are kind of delayed when that is done. I don't know why. I still do truly believe that Elemental Entry is a good stage. Definitely not one of our best, but let's dissect everything one last time. The aesthetic still works appropriately, even if it's not at its best. It still flows well for the most part. The innovation's there, it's just not executed the greatest. There's a lot of good that went into this stage that just didn't come out quite right. But there's still more fun to be had than hate to be shared here when it comes to Elemental Entry, so as a result of that, I still think it's good at the end of the day. Elemental Entry as a whole served as an extra lesson to push myself and Savannah for better. Though, like I said, it's not an amazing stage, it still got the job done. So with that in mind, my final rating for Elemental Entry is an 8.5 out of 10. A tier. If I don't hear a saxophone in 2 seconds... I want to quickly thank you all for coming to watch this video. I always appreciate your company. I enjoy making content like this for you guys on a somewhat routine basis, whatever works best for me. Yeah, so it's really fun, honestly, to just go back in the past and just look at where we were then versus where we are now and whatnot, and it feels good to see that improvement. It definitely does. Because you're going to look at Season 1 Stage 3 versus Season 2 Stage 3, which is going to be the next video, and you're going to see the differences in quality have not been more stark. You thought Altitude to Sunshine Seas was a big jump? You have not seen anything yet. So I look forward to really showing you guys the Rocky Ruins, and yeah, with that in mind, I'll see you guys then. So once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Take care now.